We really appreciate you joining us today for Barnett's web seminar on the topic of monitoring oncology clinical trials. As you guys probably know, the field of oncology research has experienced huge growth in the past decade or so. And in fact, a report that I found from January 2013 indicated that oncology products represented 28% of agents that were in development at that time. So that's a tremendous portion of our industry. Of course, that increase in trials and the development of products has led to a growing demand for CRAs in the oncology arena. And we've designed this course to provide individuals who already have experience with monitoring, just with some oncology-specific logistical, clinical, and maybe ethical considerations. So this is who I am. I've been in clinical research since 1994 and have had all of these various positions, held all of these various positions, including quality control. I've never actually worked directly in quality assurance other than as an independent auditor, but not for Takeda or any of my other employers. I've focused pretty much over the last 4 years almost exclusively in oncology monitoring, as well as, of course, doing some training of this type for Barnett. These are our learning objectives. We want to help you to identify ways in which oncology trials differ from those in other therapeutic areas. We're going to touch a little bit at the end on early phase clinical trials versus later phase and what those differences might be. We're going to talk about complexities and different kinds of tools that are used for adverse events and serious adverse events, perhaps, in oncology trials. And that specifically speaks to the CTCAE grading, so we'll touch on that. And then we're going to look at some common challenges in monitoring and help to hopefully provide you with some tips and tricks, if you will, tools and techniques to deal with the challenges. And so those may be things that would really be applicable to your team with regards to corrective and preventative action, those kinds of topics perhaps. We welcome everyone's participation. I do want to point out that the bullet point style that you see, that arrow, and red font would indicate a strategy, a take-home tip, a tool and technique. So if you want to kind of focus on those are sort of our the meat, if you will, of the course today. So first of all, it's important for us to understand, of course, that core GCP requirements are no different whether you're doing oncology trials or those in other therapeutic areas. Obviously, human subject protection, investigator selection, initiation, as well as investigator responsibilities are no different, as the vast majority of oncology trials are either biologicals or new drugs. So we do follow the FDA Form 1572 responsibilities in oncology. The use and storage of IP, of course, and responsibilities of both the sponsor as well as the investigator are no different in oncology trials. There may just be some differences in documentation, perhaps. Of course, we also, the requirement that we're all working within quality systems and that everyone is qualified for the task and duties that may be delegated to them, that's no different. Determining how much, the extent and the nature of monitoring is no different. I will tell you that in my, most recent 4 years focusing on oncology monitoring, I have not seen an extensive use of risk-based monitoring in oncology trials. I do work strictly within the early phase and early clinical development of oncology trials, so it might just be a little bit of a bias of ascertainment on my part because I'm working in the riskiest types of trials. That may be the reason why the sponsors and or CROs are not really embracing reduced SDV, remote monitoring, and things of that nature. But certainly there's nothing that would preclude the use of risk-based monitoring. If it were appropriately evaluated and assessed, you could certainly do that in clinical trials and oncology products. So let's look then at maybe the differences, because we've talked about what's really similar, right? And GCP applies no matter what. But one area of potential difference lies in the characteristics of maybe the monitors who are assigned to oncology trials and the investigators and sites that work within this arena.